one of the things I really liked it's maybe not as popular of a thing to talk about, but something that you had said is there are other things besides bodybuilding, and you had mentioned the example I think you gave was either Beethoven or Bach or something. Like, imagine if they try to be a bodybuilder and they just never realize their talent in this other area. And I think that's important. So could you just elaborate that a little bit of, why you mentioned that?
Sure. So I think a lot of people, when they get into the quest for getting bigger muscles and getting stronger, what they'll do is they'll start to get further and further invested into that quest and spend more time and spend more effort and put more psychological, not strain, but I guess psychological investment and worth into how they're developing muscularly and how they're developing in strength. And then when they start hitting plateaus or difficulties or kind of realizing they might not end up being Larry Williams, what they can do is experience a little bit of a degradation in their self-esteem, and think, geez, I can't put another 20 pounds on my bench press. Like, I'm really just a nobody. And I just really feel down on myself. And sometimes people say, I have all these other things to do. I have a job, I have a family, and I'm just trying to squeeze in as much bodybuilding as I can. And a lot of times just an open thought experiment, open conversation with them, asking them a really simple question of why. Like, well, what do you mean why? Like, well, what is it that you seek to gain out of bodybuilding? And they're like, well, it's fun. Like, are you having fun right now? And they're like,
Right.
no. And I'm like, okay, how could you have more fun? They're like, well, if I was more jacked, they're like, that's true. Now, what would it take for you to get more jacked? Like, well, way more supplements, way more training, way more dedication, a whole lot less of the other parts of my life, which I found really fun. So you go, okay, is that really realistic? And they're like, no. Right, so why don't we redefine fun to making some good gains, having fun in the gym, doing workouts you like, looking great, feeling great, and enjoying all the other beautiful parts of your life, of which there are, or should be so many. And then they're like, geez, I never thought of it that way. And all of a sudden, they can contextualize bodybuilding and strength training, and it can just be another great thing. Like, it's kind of weird to imagine, like, like you have board game night with your friends, and one of them is like, man, I hate when board game night ends because I just want to play board games all the time. I just want to quit my job and play board games. You go, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, it's just a part of what we do. It's fun, but like, there's only so much board game playing you can do. So with bodybuilding, I think, and strength training, some people tend to get carried away. They're like, this has to be the central thing that I succeed at. And not everyone has the genetics to be like amazing at it. And even the ones that, even if you're amazing, you're not ever, until you reach the top 10 at the Olympia, going to make direct money from competition.
Mm-hmm.
So then are you going to change your career to be directly associated with bodybuilding? If you want to train people, you want to give supplement advice, that's great. Then you'll enjoy that, and that's good for its own sake. But some people, I think, end up doing that kind of stuff because it lets them bodybuild more, but they hate that other stuff, and they just kind of want to bodybuild. And then it ends up being that their whole life is kind of out of whack. And I've talked to quite a few people who either train less now than they used to, or some people that don't train at all. And they basically rebounded hard from this overinvestment phase they did earlier. Like, it was way beyond the point where they liked it. They just wanted to keep making gains and get bigger and stronger, almost like for the message boards to some extent, like
Right.
for the internalized message board, like, I got to keep getting better. And this is what someone asked me, why? And they're like, fuck, I've actually never thought of it that far.
Yeah.
So it ends up being like, the TLDR is, find out what you want out of the sport. Find out how much effort you're willing to give to that goal versus everything else good in your life, and then do that. And if you find that you're super passionate, like, I've literally had some people be like, yeah, I used to strength train a lot, but then I found, like, distance running. Like, a friend asked me to go on a run. I fell in love with it. I do mostly running now. I only lift twice a week. And they're almost looking at me, because I used to know them 10 years ago, as like, okay, here comes, Mike's face of disapproval and how did I stray from the righteous path. And I'm like, that's so great. And they're like, really? I thought you'd be pissed I gave up lifting. I'm like, why in God's name would I be pissed you gave up lifting? It's a pointless hobby that gets you hurt and destroys your health if you take it too far. At the end of the day, almost for everybody, bodybuilding and strength training, they're hobbies. So if you don't like them anymore and they're out of whack and out of balance, you're just doing your hobbies wrong, like, plain and simple.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point as far as that, you get tied to it because, I mean, for me, for sure, you become, depending on what age you get into this, you kind of become known for that and it becomes your identity. And like you said, even if you actually step back and think about it, I'm not actually enjoying this anymore. You're so tied to that, you can't let go of the fact that no, people know me as this. I can't drop back from it. And it just becomes
100%.
everything. Yeah.